welcome back to Combat Mission Shock Force 2 for the 2022 Winter Turn-by-Turn series. Yes, it's 2023 now, but trust me, a little bit of delay has been absolutely worth it. If you're new to the channel or you're not familiar with this format, every year around this time I try and record myself playing a multiplayer game. All my other videos are after action videos. They're cleaned up, they're sanitized, they're inevitably condensed, and I can choose what to put in and cut out. This is a during action series, so you guys get to see me playing the game. I don't know what's going to happen every turn, and you guys get to come along, share the tension, and you can watch while everything goes disastrously wrong. It's not for everyone. It's a very different way to experience Combat Mission, and it sees the appearance of low mic quality unscripted rambling hapless, which is a change of pace if nothing else. This year we're in Shock Force 2, which is about as non-wintry as you can get, and I'm defending a town with the Syrian Army against Chap's US Army in a tiny quick battle probe which has 30 minutes on the clock. I've played Chap twice so far in Black Sea and he's beaten me both times. He also makes combat mission videos and he's making a series on this battle from his perspective too. So if you want to see what's going on the blue side, check his channel out. I'll leave a link in the description down below. The map we're fighting over is a cut down, slightly tweaked version of the map from George MC's Operation Hammersmith scenario from the British Forces module. This is a lot of dense terrain for an attacker to deal with in 30 minutes, and even worse, there are a ton of objectives. 10 in total, alpha to kilo. This isn't your standard quick battle. One of the problems with quick battles in general is that they're standalone fights. They don't have any context to make them interesting. You can get this from single player campaigns where it can really matter what happens from mission to mission, and that influences player behaviour and adds a lot of immersion. But obviously single player campaigns can only be played against the AI, and you don't get the fun quick battle experience of choosing your force, your plan, and rolling with it. So what we're going to do here is try and mash them together. This is the first battle in a quick battle campaign. Coalition forces have broken through Syrian lines off to the east and they're racing down Highway 5 towards Damascus. The highway goes through several towns and the Syrian army is desperately throwing anything it can under the steamroller in an attempt to slow it down so the capital can prepare for a last-ditch defence. This is one of those towns. Each of the objectives corresponds to a zone on the campaign map. If blue forces can secure one of those in a quick battle, they'd get a point in that zone. Red, on the other hand, is not ultimately going to stop blue. That's just not going to happen. But red can make things as painful as possible and, if they're lucky, slow coalition forces down a little bit. For every 30% casualties that red inflicts on blue in a quick battle, they get a point, and that goes into a pool on the left. So if they inflict 60% casualties, they get 2 points. At the end of the campaign turn, so when all the games are done, all the points in red's pool are split out equally across all the zones where blue scored points. If red has a higher score than blue in a zone, then they hold it. If blue has a higher score, then they take it. The zone turns blue, and it gets taken out of red's deployment area on the map and added to blue's. Once all those changes are done, all the points, so the points blue scored and the points in red's pool, are added to the victory points totals at the top. And then the next round starts, with the updated setup for the quick battle. Time has advanced, the deployment zones have changed, the map has suffered battle damage, all that fun stuff. 3 rounds, and the side at the end with the most victory points is the winner. Some of you might be looking at this and thinking, if it's just Chap and Hapless playing this, there's not a lot that's going to get done with those 3 rounds. And that's right, this really isn't designed to have just 2 people playing it. So, if you have Combat Mission Shock Force 2 and you can find a willing opponent, that's where you guys come in. If you want to get involved, go for it. You don't need to sign up or anything like that, just find someone to play against, grab the map from the Google Drive folder I'll link down below, set up a quick battle with the parameters for turn 1, and play it out. When you're done, take a screenshot of your results. So that's the end screen showing which objectives you secured if you're blue, or the end screen showing how many casualty points you scored as red. Then upload that screenshot to a Dropbox file request where it goes in a folder for me to sort out. I'll leave a link to all this stuff and the info that you need down in the description. Each campaign turn is going to last a couple of months, That should give everyone who wants to join in enough time to play a PBM. I have no idea how this is going to pan out. I've tried to keep it all as simple as possible, but it is fundamentally an experiment at this stage, so it could be a complete disaster and fall apart at the seams. It could equally be a great success that is a lot of very engaging fun for everyone. We'll see. With this kind of greater context, there's a real focus on planning and forced selection. Blue needs to pick a zone and clear it out completely to get a point. This could be pretty tough. Even one red pixel truppen left alive in the objectives compromises it, so blue really needs to go door to door and check every building and every little hidey hole to make sure it's clear. Red, on the other hand, has to be reactive. Blue could attack anywhere, so red needs to work out where blue is committing and then maneuver forces to inflict casualties. So there are a lot of possible interactions here, with both sides constrained by that short time limit and the tiny battle size. There are a lot of hard decisions for everyone. I'm not going to go in depth into the planning and terrain analysis because, well, where's the fun in that for everybody trying it themselves, but I've ended up with a pretty classic defense. This is split into 3 components. An observation screen to gather information on the enemy force, its movements and its intentions, an area defense to fix blue on his most likely avenues of attack, and a reactive killing element to do the damage and cause those casualties. So this is basically the old infantry routine of find, fix and finish, scaled up. That's the introduction all done then. Next up we have the unscripted first turn. Hope you'll enjoy this, and I'll see you in a second.
First thing I need to do is figure out where Chap is going, so I can coordinate my defense accordingly. And I've got a screen of snipers. This is actually the weapons platoon from a Syrian motor rifle company. So in charge we have Storm Commando, because obviously everybody has the names here, and he is covering down this way. You can pretty much just see there, but he's also holding this objective down just so I have somebody in it just in case it all goes wrong. And then over here we have Sir Sandstorm. Now these teams are all elite and highly motivated. It's really cheap to bump them up to like a high quality standard because there's just 2 men in them. So, you know, 1 AK and 1 SVD. They're also airborne snipers because they have some night vision. These guys actually got the night vision on. No, but that should help. And these guys are covering through the gap in the buildings here. So we're covering, looking out over this field and looking over the top of this building into this kind of area here. Next along in Bravo, they were in the Charlie objective, we have Clockwork Rex again, who is now, must be 60 odd years old, having somehow survived World War III last year. And from here, this is a really exposed position, but it's also a really good one. I can see a lot from here. Even if these teams last just 1 turn, I can get some idea of what's going on, what Chap's up to. So these guys can cover out all the way out to the highway on the left, all these fields. I can get a bit of a good look into the little depression, stream, gully, whatever you want to call it here, that Chap might use to get forward, and I can see this area here. So, like I say, really good position, but this is what you get with positions with good visibility, is they're also super exposed. And then out on the left, covering the highway, we have Jack Volkert. I'm going to mangle all these names at some point. That wasn't even a hard one. And again, that's mostly covering the highway, which, yeah, Chap has a couple of avenues of approach. If you really wanted to be ballsy, something that I've definitely I've thought about is you just smoke up this whole area here and then bum rush down the highway, and you can start going into these objectives at the back, which the defending player might not necessarily be covering. But anyway, that's the screening force. Your target arcs, they're all target arced up or down, whatever, so they can not immediately open fire and give their positions away, because they will. We know they will. And then up front, I have my 3 rifle platoons. So these are bog standard Syrian infantry. These are mostly so I have something up front. I do think the highway option is pretty high risk, high reward. So I'm not sure he's going to go for that. But I am fairly confident. Like, what I would do is pick one of these objectives and go for it. Probably Charlie, maybe Alpha. So I've stationed my infantry pre-forward as a kind of area defense, just so that they're there. Because I might not have that much time to react. Or mostly to contest it so that it slows Chap down and I can sort my defense out to deal with him. So up on the left in Alpha we have 1st Platoon, which is Jacob NO506 with the Platoon HQ unit, Roland, and over here we have Sir Kartoffel. Now these guys are in a compound, and they're all on the bottom floors, so they can't. Chap can't directly target them. He'll have to knock the wall down first. Which, if he is going to go for like the overwhelming firepower approach, I can shuffle them back into the deeper into the compound, and try and get those close range engagements going. Plus, we have a TRP for my mortars. So, you know, obviously the plan is fix the enemy or tar pit him, if you've been playing Total War, on the infantry in the front of the objective, and that should give me time to call in the mortars to cause casualties. In the center, we have 2nd Platoon. That's Ilya Safer with the HQ, Donahue with 2nd Squad, and Horza Omanid with 3rd Squad. So these guys are a lot further back in another compound. This is one of the things with this objective in particular, is it's quite long. It's kind of like a longer, thinner one. So Chap would have to go in here, and he's going to get slowed down trying to clear out, make sure all these buildings are clear. So these guys are sort of my reserve, but if he does go for this objective, they're my reserve because they can shift left and right really easy. So if they go into this side, they can support Alpha. If they go across here into these buildings, they can help support Charlie. Or they can stay there and hold this little compound to the death. And again, Chap's route in, TRP, I can mortar him, so that's the plan. It won't work. And then finally on the right we have 3rd Platoon, which is James in command, Barker Carthago over here, so I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Hannibal Barker, but, you know, tactical genius maybe, but spoiler alert, he lost and the Romans won. So it kind of fits this. And then we have T-Dog 105 over here. And again, TRP out in front, contest these buildings with fire, and I can funnel reinforcements in back there. What else have we going on? Yeah, back in Echo, just so I have a presence here. This is the company HQ. Not really expecting much from these guys, but that's how that pans out. So further back we have the anti-tank platoon. So these guys, I ripped out the actual anti-tank weapons. They were AT4s, and I put in some AT13s rather. So these are much more capable. I can't remember if they have thermal optics. We'll find out. I did some testing, but the smoke did weird stuff, and it was just inconclusive. And yeah, maybe I should have nailed it down, but maybe not. So this team is obviously covering the highway, just in case. And we have the other team up on top of like the governor's mansion or palace in Kilo, which is the highest point on the map. In one of the test games, I was playing against not Craig from the Combat Mission Discord, and he had an AT4 team up here that was a massive pain. So I want to replicate that. So this doesn't have an amazing field of fire, but it can cover parts of the highway. And if Chap does what I did in my game and peaks up his fire support on these berms in the blue deployment zone, that team, which is just there, can engage them from there, which should be a nice little shock for him. The HQ element is over in India, again, just so I have boots on the ground over there. They don't even come with a radio or anything like that, so they're not tremendously actually useful as a HQ unit. And the team, for some reason, the platoon comes, the weapons platoon, or D company rather, like the weapons company, comes with a random RPG team. So, oh god, we didn't do the names, did we? Duh, come on. So out on the left we have Outlander 125. He's covering the highway. Up here we have Simple Winds, which, yeah, hopefully. And the company HQ is Pelican Taco, who has also survived World War III and is now cowering in a basement in the hotel objective. Oh no, I'm getting well mixed up now. No, that's the battalion HQ. The company HQ was Austin. And then the D company HQ is Florida Man. And over here we have Rutang, who is the RPG team. Again, this was like a 12-point team, so spanking it up to elite and some superly motivated is really cheap and absolutely worth it. These guys are just covering the highway, but they can also swap into covering the front of Alpha as well. I'm going to put all the names in like a spreadsheet for you guys so you can actually see. You don't have to try and work out what I'm actually talking about here. The other component, we have the mortar battery. So I slimmed this down. There's 4 120mm mortars here. They're under Hauker. I need to stop picking names that I can't pronounce. So what's interesting about this is that these guys, the Material Mortar Battery HQ, is just as quick at calling things in as the attached FO, or the Forward Observer. So I sacked him off, saved some points. And seeing as though these are mostly going to be firing at TRPs, it doesn't really matter. So he's here so he can scream at all of the his constituent units, which are, let's start with one platoon. So one platoon HQ, which is William III, also died, not encouraging, and 120mm mortars. So we have Edward Fletcher and Terratubs driving their Ural. So the transport vehicles are all, -2 leadership, conscript, just to scrape the points out. Their job is to sit there and be full of ammunition for the mortars. So these have 59 HE rounds each, which is quite a lot. I think I can put down a curtain of fire for about 20 minutes. So 2/3 of the game, which could be important. And then the other tube here we have LOL Ruffle Cakes, backed up by Mike 49-39-5. And then the other platoon we have Spooker, again, still can't pronounce it, who's in charge of Shelving Unit, awesome name, love it. Sotomote, who I obviously forgot to conscriptize, he's a regular, and Camelot, I don't know, and Voak. So that's the mortar platoon at the back, and obviously the plan is fix at the front and then hit Chap with the mortars. 82mm mortars would have been cheaper, but 120mm, those American troops out there are going to be wearing body armor, and the nastier stuff I can drop on them, the happier I'm going to be. Yeah, then finally, the last bit, we have the recce platoon and the anti-air platoon, or bits of them. So these are like my my QRF, my quick reaction force. These guys are mounted up and they can deploy to wherever I need them to go to try and slow Chap down and get some hits in on him. So the recce platoon is under Masson the Assassin. They're in BTRs. It's just they're basically 4-man teams, so they're not going to be great. but they can at least get into position. So Masson the Assassin, Emmanuel in this BTR, which is driven by Justin Davies, and then in the other BTR we have another squad under Felix and an 84 team under Mr. Abu, driven around by Otto Finn. Finally, the other element is the AA platoon. Now, I could have taken a Shilka for this, but I have never actually used the ZSU anti-air technical, so that's what I brought along. It was cheaper, but it's not even a little bit bulletproof, and it's probably going to go disastrously wrong, but still, I mean, it's a technical, it's just fun, isn't it? So this is Atlas, and the other one we have McScam, who is the air defense platoon leader. Oh hey, they even took the roof off. That's hilarious. Like I say, not expecting a massive amount from these. If Chap has brought some air power or some drones or something like that, he said he hasn't, and I trust him, but you never know. They can engage that, but their main draw here is that they have a rapid-firing cannon, a twin-barreled rapid-firing cannon with 600 rounds of 20mm armor-piercing incendiary. So their job is to, say for example, if Chap starts occupying these buildings here, to just drive up here and level the building. So they're probably not even going to spot targets. I'm just going to have them area firing. Their job is to get firepower on target as fast as possible. And that's about it. We'll see how this pans out. Like I said, I'm expecting a disaster. It's all going to go wrong when I press the go button. Because it always does. That's the fun. But even if Chap scoops up loads of objectives, because we've got these asymmetric objectives, as long as I can put the pain on, I can get something for the red team out of it. Yeah, I think that covers everybody. Yeah, I think we just have to press... Oh yeah, the other thing, the infantry are all regular. This includes the recce platoon, but they are extreme. I bumped them up to extreme motivation. So my biggest problem usually with the Syrians is that they just give up. They start surrendering, they get suppressed. Because the US are going to be able to put down a shed ton more firepower than I can. And that's not very nice to fight under, obviously. That's why they do it. And the Syrians have this tendency to go shake and start panicking and throw their weapons down and their hands up and start surrendering. So these guys are bumped up to extreme motivation. That's almost as high as you can go. Fanatic felt a little bit too much. Again, it's only like a couple of points per squad because they're not worth anything anyway. But playing the Scottish Corridor campaign, some of those SS units in there with the extreme motivation have been such a pain to deal with, and if I can inflict some of that on Chap, that should hopefully even things out a little bit. Yeah, that's the objectives. I'm going to turn them off because they're bright green and I hate them. We can turn the landmarks on. The map, actually, I haven't mentioned the map. This is a cut-down version of the map from the Operation Hammersmith scenario by George MC. So, sorry, George, I've mangled your map. It has all of these landmark reference points on, which are... these are the kinds of things you would want to put together going into an urban area. So, this is the Yellow Road. We have Yellow Bridge 1, Yellow Junction 1, Yellow Junction, 2A, all this stuff. It's just so that there are reference points spread around the map, so things make more sense. So we'll turn them off as well. We could do it's dawn. It's not a night attack. It's a dawn attack, so it's going to get lighter as the game goes on. If things are particularly bad, we can turn on artificial brightness. So we're not looking at a grey screen anymore. And I also modded in Rambler's night vision mod. I think it's Rambler. So if we do Alt M, everything gets to be a nice shade of green, and we can. It makes a little bit more sense doing it this way with the post process than just artificially lighting the map up. But get the camera into an interesting position, and I'm just going to stop talking, and we're going to see how badly wrong this is going to go. Okay, let's go. Okay, so immediate area fire. That's great. That sounds like a cannon. Yep, there's a Bradley over there. Infantry down here. Striker, that's with a Mark 19 40mm auto grenade launcher. Is that another striker? Yeah, it's another striker, isn't it? Oh, and there's some stuff down here blowing up. That's interesting. Right. So that's a little bit of fire preparation from Chap there. And looks like we've got plenty of infantry up here in the center. Okay, so nobody died, which is good. Well, I mean, it's less exciting, isn't it, really? But so let's take a look at this in detail. So we've got some infantry here. They're just running forward. And back here we have a striker behind the berm. Let's see who is actually seeing those. Yeah, so that is Jack Volker. This is the elite sniper teams doing their thing. They don't need to shoot anybody. I just need to see what's going on. He spotted that, and Clockwork Rex is spotting those guys, which is exactly why I put him there. And then that definitely looks like cannon fire to me. It's the let's watch it. Yeah, it looks like cannon fire. Oh yeah, Volker is getting a little bit of fire there. Putting some rounds in that building. It seems too accurate. The Mark 19s in combat mission are have been compared to drunken shotguns. Yeah, and there's a Bradley over there. Who can see the Bradley? Ah, Simple Wins can see the Bradley. Obviously didn't get a missile off. We just decided to not shoot at it then, did we? Okay, that's nice. And they're veteran as well. Oh, must have just lost a spot. So, let's rewind a little bit. This is like a CSI combat mission where I'm just trying to find out everything that's happened. So yeah, another Mark 19 striker over here. Which is really throwing the... This is why I think there's he's got maybe 2 or even 3 Bradleys, because we had 3 very accurate... Or 2. Yeah, just 2, because the shot that hit Jack Volker there was probably an overshoot from here. That's from this Bradley over here, isn't it? Yeah, and it sounds like there's another Bradley off to the right there. Yes. So there's another one up here. Yeah, so 2 Bradleys. And then we got at least 1 striker with the Mark 19. Just trying to pin down his fire support, because that's the most obvious thing at the moment. And another striker there. So two Bradleys, 2 strikers. Alright, yeah, let me write this down. So I can start back plotting Chap's force selection. So 2 Bradleys, 2 times strikers, Mark 19. Honestly, one of the most useful things you can keep by you when you're playing combat mission is a notebook and pen. And that's interesting. Just the rest of it's concentrated on the buildings, but there's plenty of fire support going in over here. And we do have this infantry contact here, which is I actually don't know who can see that. Can't be Clockwork Rex. Oh, it is. Okay. Fair enough. He's earning his pay there. Yeah, and now look, I have 4 vehicle contact icons there. So, yeah, that's a pretty reasonable fire support array he's got going on there. Base of fire. Go out to the wide angle. Yep, there's a unit there. Oh, 60mm mortar. Interesting. That comes part and parcel with the infantry companies, I think. Yeah. Mostly useful for flares in the modern day, because the 60mm is a little bit anemic. Especially when all your squads have like several 40mm grenade launchers anyway. So yeah, no real commitment here. Not particularly seeing anything in the first turn. So we definitely we've got some infantry over here. And we've got some infantry in the center here. Pushing up using the stream, using the gully. That's an MMG, so yeah, you know, broadly speaking, 3 squads per platoon plus 2 M240s. So we've got an M240 there, and 2 squads. Well, 2 teams at least. That might just be 1 squad of infantry. Then there's something else over on here. And then he has something else up on the highway. So it could be that he's pushing down all 3 avenues of approach at once, which could be interesting. I mean, if he's got the flexibility, if he's got the Bradleys and the Strikers all have transport capacity, so he could have a reserve back here. You probe and send, you know, have a platoon up front, send 1 squad towards each of the first objectives. Or 1 down the highway, 1 towards Bravo and Charlie, Alpha and Bravo, 1 towards Charlie, and the one that makes the most progress, you give the reinforcements to, and you don't overcommit with the others. So, yeah, you know, that's an interesting one. That said, the actual preparation fires are all coming in on Alpha. So we had Mark 19 firing this way, hitting this building here, which would cover off the flank there. So that would be to protect these guys. Actually shooting up the building. These guys aren't particularly bothered about that. Even Jack Volker, who got shot up a bit, is alright. He's shot up these buildings, actually quite a lot. So yeah, it could be that he's coming in on Alpha, but I think it could be a couple of turns before we can really nail it down. And I think it's not worth reacting to yet. I think it's going to be another turn at least until we get some more commitment there. So yeah, pretty quiet for a first turn. But that's okay. That's, you know, 1/30th of Chap's time gone. Yeah, let's just pop this up this way. Actually, something exploded down here, didn't it? Yeah, I think that might be overshoots from something. Like 40mm grenades. Yeah. see that again. Or is it cannon fire? I thought there was a Bradley up at this end. So shooting up that building there, like that. Yeah, I feel like that's quite a flat trajectory, so that's going to be the 25 mil on the Bradley. And then this one, this is dropping stuff over here. That's actually an actual fire mission, so those are air bursting rounds behind this berm. Why would you be worried about this berm? Hey, look, if I had a machine gun here, I might be able to cover the front of A. So yeah, I think we're getting more indicators that he's leading on the Alpha objective here. And you know what? That's pretty sensible, to be honest. It's got 2 chunks. There is, you know, the approach you can completely dominate with fire from back here. So yeah, interesting. So we just need to kind of nail down what he's doing. How fast did these guys go? Did these guys just run? These guys were just moving quick, weren't they? Yeah. Slightly easier to actually work there. Yeah, that's 40 mil fire from comparison. It's a lot more. Has another trajectory. Yeah, so these guys are just moving down here. See, if you set something up here, I mean, I know he's got a striker doing it, but if you can aim down here, down that road, he can, in theory, stop my forces from crossing from there to there. We'll see. And yeah, no sign that these guys are 1 squad split or 2 squads. Probably 2 split, because that, you know, actually makes sense. Oh, he's important. He's got binoculars. We should shoot him. Yeah, rule number 1, do not make yourself look like a target. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there that we or that Simple Wins did not come out with a simple win and target that Bradley. But you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. It's combat mission. It's early days. It's dark. I'm not sure why they gave up, but they did lose the spot, so fair enough, I guess. And then how is Outlander 125 doing over here? I don't think he ever spots anything. Nope. But that's also okay. I mean, it doesn't help that the guy with the binoculars is like looking over there. Yeah. Maybe he likes palm trees or something. I don't know. So yeah, I don't think there's actually anything to react to so far. Yes, it does look like Chap might be focusing on Alpha or Alpha and Bravo. But we have also seen something down here. There's 2 like little infantry spots down there. From 2 different sources as well, from Clockwork Rex and Sir Standstorm. So, yeah, you know. So, decisions for this turn, what do you want to do? Probably nothing. My main concern would be Clockwork Rex here getting spotted. I think he might have a turn before that becomes a liability yet, though. Might put him on hide. Let's put him on hide. So we'll lose some spotting potential, but should be slightly less obvious. And he's supported by that as well. The mortars. Let's think about mortars. So it would take 5 minutes where he can actually see, but actually on the TRP it's 3 minutes to call in the artillery. So yeah, I mean, based on that TRP, we could put some mortars down here. It's going to take a little while before I can really nail it down, but I want to fix him in this urban area before I hit him. So yeah, don't actually have anything to report. Might be worth getting the 84 team up somewhere. Somewhere where they can see, let's say there's some 3-story buildings around here somewhere. We can put them up on top of here. Just to try and target that fire support maybe. But yeah, you know, same time. Let's get you, try and make sure you're pointing that way. Actually, let's not do that. Let's use a target arc. While we're using target arc instead of face, I don't want them to move. I like how the actual launcher is on the corner, because if it goes over here, it starts losing things because of the buildings. But if we, kind of looks trippy. Give him a target arc. Hopefully, he's going to face that direction. Specifically, the guy with the binoculars. And yeah, we'll see if these guys there. Chap, it looks like Chap might have popped things up, popped his fire support up, and then popped it back down again. But yeah, so yeah, it does look to me. Let's just make sure that we are somewhat insulated against some kind of sudden attack here. So if he goes for this compound, he can go in through this door, where there's a whole squad waiting for him. He can go in for this door, but I should get some early warning of that. And yeah, basically I can react. He's got to come in through some confined spaces, which is going to suck for him. Yeah, here we go. Volker would probably see anybody heading in this way. Yeah, I mean this is the obvious infantry approach, and Chap does love his infantry, so yeah. Yeah, so not the most exciting first turn out there, but also nobody died, which is a plus. So let's hit that button and get that back, and we'll see what happens in the next one.